1935. An unemployed salesman walks into America's biggest game company and walks out on his way to millions. The game was Monopoly. His story, he invented it alone at his kitchen table. The truth? The real inventor was a woman, and her total payout was $500. Stranger still, every rage quit, every family fight over this game. That's her design, working. Someone hoards, someone cries, someone flips the board every single time. The misery is not a bug. It's the entire point. This game was engineered deliberately and cleverly to make you feel exactly this way. So let's rewind to the woman history almost managed to erase. Meet Elizabeth Maggie, Lizzie to her friends, Washington, D.C., around the year 1900. Remember her name? A very large company spent decades hoping you wouldn't. By day, she worked as a stenographer in a government office, typing up other people's words for other people's pay. By night, she was a writer, a comedian, an actress, an inventor of small gadgets, and a very loud political radical. To protest women's wages, she once took out a newspaper ad auctioning herself. Everyone was scandalized. That was the idea. Lizzie was a devoted follower of Henry George, a wildly popular economist whose big idea fit on a postcard. Landlords get rich by owning land, not by working it, and everyone else pays the price forever in rent. She wanted ordinary people to feel that idea in their bones, not just read about it in pamphlets. So in 1904, she walked into the patent office with something very unusual for the era. A board game. U.S. Patent 748 from 626, The Landlord's Game. A woman patenting a board game in 1904 was almost unheard of. The board will look eerily familiar. Properties for sale, railroads, utilities, a corner that sends you straight to jail. And printed right on the board where every player would see it every single turn was her thesis. One corner carried a slogan straight out of Henry George. And here's her genius move, the part everyone forgets. The game shipped with 2 complete rule books. Keep that in mind. Rule set 1 she called Monopolist. Grab everything you can, crush everyone you know. The last player standing wins it all. Rule set 2 she called Prosperity. Every land purchase pays out to everyone. The game ends when the poorest player has doubled their money. Her plan? Play both versions back-to-back and you'd feel the difference in your gut. One version of the game ends in laughter and shared snacks. The other ends in table flipping. Guess which one America fell in love with? And that choice is exactly where the trouble starts. For the next 30 years, the game spread the old-fashioned way. Players copied it by hand, board by board. A Wharton professor, Scott Nearing, taught it to economics students. Quaker communities in Atlantic City played it after dinner. Players redrew the board on oilcloth and butcher paper and wrote in the streets of their own towns. In 1929, an Atlantic City Quaker teacher named Ruth Hoskins learned the game and built a local version. Her group filled the board with their own streets. Boardwalk, Park Place, Marvin Gardens. The most famous streets in gaming are just Atlantic City, frozen in 1930. Small detail I love. The real neighborhood is spelled M-A-R-V-E-N Gardens. The Quakers misspelled it. That typo is still on the official board today. Remember it. It comes back. Then came the Great Depression. Enter Charles Darrow. Philadelphia, 1932. The bottom of the Depression. Darrow is an unemployed heater salesman with a wife and kids to feed. One night in 1932, his friends Charles and Olive Todd invite the Darrows over and teach them the game. He loves it. He asks his friend Charles Todd to write the rules down. Todd typed them up. Every rule, every street name, every single typo faithfully preserved. Darrow started hand-making copies on round oilcloth boards with his wife and son helping. Then he started selling them as his own invention. Now it gets worse. In 1934, he pitched the game to Parker Brothers, the biggest name in American board games. They rejected it politely. Their internal review famously counted 52 fundamental design errors. 52, they counted. So Darrow had 5,000 copies printed at his own expense and sold them through Wanamaker's department store in Philadelphia. They sold out fast. Then Parker Brothers noticed the sales numbers, quietly swallowed all 52 objections, and came back waving a contract. 1935. Monopoly launches nationwide, outsells everything they have ever printed, and royalties flow to Charles Darrow. The marketing wrote itself. Jobless man invents game during depression, becomes millionaire. And he really did become a millionaire, the first person in history to get rich designing a board game. There was just one small problem with that beautiful origin story. Every word of it. Because Parker Brothers soon discovered Lizzie's patents, the 1904 original and a 1924 renewal. That could get legally awkward. So an executive paid her a visit and offered to buy her patent outright. The price, $500. No royalties. Not 1 cent per copy, out of the hundreds of millions eventually sold. A flat $500. Darrow got a fortune. Lizzie got a used car budget. In 1936, Lizzie opened a newspaper and found out how her own game was being marketed. She called reporters at the Washington Post and the Evening Star and brought both patents to the interviews. The headlines were sympathetic enough. The sales figures were not affected in the slightest. Parker Brothers quietly published 2 of her other games to keep things calm. Both games went nowhere. Lizzie died in 1948 in relative obscurity, her royalty total unchanged, 0. Her obituary didn't mention Monopoly at all. The truth stayed buried for another 25 years, printed over by the official Darrow legend in every rulebook, until Parker Brothers sued the wrong economics professor. 1973. A San Francisco economics professor named Ralph Anspach releases a game called Anti-Monopoly. The company demands he stop using the name. He refuses. To defend himself, Anspach starts digging into where Monopoly actually came from. He finds the hand-drawn boards, the Wharton classrooms, the Quakers, Ruth Hoskins, and that typo? It just became legal evidence. And at the bottom of it all, Lizzie Magee's 1904 patent. The litigation dragged on for nearly 10 years and dragged the game's entire secret history into sworn court records. The lawsuit meant to protect Monopoly resurrected the woman it erased. Now sit with the full irony here for a second because it's almost too perfect. A game designed to teach the evils of monopolies became one company's most fiercely guarded monopoly, sold in 111 countries. Its anti-monopolist inventor was bought out for $500. And the lesson she built into those rules? It never left. It's still in there, every time you play. Every rage quit is the curriculum. So the next time Monopoly ruins your family game night, and it will, look around the table. The cousin hoarding all 4 railroads, the sibling begging for mercy on rent day, and the one player who owns everything, grinning. That exact feeling is not the game failing. That's a 120-year-old economics lesson about landlords and rent, working exactly as designed. A century ago, Lizzie Magee built you a tiny cardboard model of exactly this problem. We just forgot to read the second rulebook. Class dismissed.